training hard and you're always showing up, but if you don't understand blood flow, your knee pain will always find a way to outsmart you. The ligaments, the tendons, and the meniscus, I'm sure you've heard of loads of people, are extremely complicated parts of the knee, and you should rest and you should avoid anything that bothers them. No, you shouldn't, because they have different levels of blood flow and they have different symptoms. So the first point I have to make is that blood flow is repair, right? But that's not a good enough word. Inflammation is repair. But one step further, blood flow is actually nourishment and regeneration of the cells. The second point I need to make is just understand your knee, not necessarily all the complicated science words and the muscles where the ligaments attach to. Don't need to know that. All you need to know is where your symptom is, right? The second thing you need to know is what does it feel like? But I'm going to give you something to preempt, right? If it's on the inside of your knee, it's either two things. It's either your meniscus or it's either your MCL. If it's your MCL, there will be a lot of inflammation. But remember what I said earlier on, if there's a lot of inflammation, that is actually a really good thing. That means the recovery will be rapid. If there's not much inflammation and there is pain every once in a blue moon, it might be your meniscus, which is a completely separate beast. If it's on the outside of your knee, there won't be much pain because there is not much blood flow in that area. If it's deep in your knee, it could be your ACL, it could be your PCL, right? But them two are pretty similar in how they respond to training. So I just need you to understand different ligaments, different blood flow, slightly different symptoms, and different times of recovery, right? And I say recovery, I hate that word, so let me just change that to they respond differently to training. I'm a former British paratrooper, a physical training instructor in the parachute regiment. It was my job to give people and train people in the most impactful manner. I didn't have much time with them. So now you understand blood flow is good, you understand the differences of blood flow symptoms in the knee. This leads me on to the next thing, right? Because me telling you that doesn't give you the confidence and doesn't reduce fear in your training. I need to give you a rule to follow because you're a man and you need a rule. Do not ever exceed a 4 out of 10 knee pain. By having that rule in place, you're never going to overdo it. You're going to be concentrating on your movements a lot more. And one thing that's for certain is that you're going to actually be able to overcome your expectations of how strong you actually were. Because we get ourselves into a bit of a rabbit hole where we don't think that we can do a squat pain-free, so we don't even try. But having that rule in place, you'll be very surprised at where your current performance is actually at with that rule in place. So you've got 3 really important principles there to reduce your fear and increase your confidence in training these areas. Remember, it's all about strategically creating an inflammation in an injured tissue. Do you know what I mean? Right? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through, I'm going to bring them principles to life with a couple of videos of movements, right? So one way I like to think about the knee, right, is it's always a road to getting full range of motion, right? And you get full range of motion by finding your start point. And your start point could be where I currently am on this chair sit hold. Obviously the goal is to get to 90 degrees for a period of 30 to 45 seconds. But you might start with your current 4 out of 10 knee pain in this position here, and that's absolutely fine. However, a week down the line, you might be able to get yourself lower. A couple of sessions after that, you might be able to get yourself lower. And the reason you were able to get yourself lower is because you've strategically caused inflammation, repair, regeneration, and increased the strength of these tissues, right? You're doing it in a way that doesn't lengthen and shorten the muscles. Doing it in a very, very safe, very controlled way by doing these holds. I love this exercise at the earliest part of the program because it doesn't just give you physiological benefits, but it also gives you psychological benefits that you can train the injured area. It's gold dust. However, it's only gold dust if you have the intent to progress. And progress we do. 90 degrees is a great benchmark. And once you can do 90 degrees for 30 seconds, you need to start thinking about progressing to single leg. Once you can do single leg, you can absolutely guarantee your knees are ready to start squatting, right? So one way I like to bring squatting into the mix, and especially if you haven't got very good mobility, is elevating the heels. Body weight, I like to get my hands completely out of the equation, but this is now you loading your knees with your body weight, right? Pretty straightforward. I'm only going to 90 degrees here. After I've done that, I'm going to go to goblet squats, where I'm going to go all the way down. I'm going to try and go all the way down. Notice how I'm still elevating the heels. Heels elevated takes ankle mobility and hip mobility out of the equation, allows me to keep a nice upright torso, so there's no stress on my lower back. And then I can finally progress a couple of sessions after that, maintaining them principles into a full knee bend, body weight. And you can probably imagine from there, I can load that with dumbbells, and then I can probably be at a place where I can do heels elevated, back squats, leg press, pretty much every exercise in the gym at that point. Just remember, it is not about treating these exercises as optional. There is a voice in our head that tells us to avoid pain, right? But I'm just telling you, it's all right. We can manage it. We're not daft. Do you know what I mean? We can focus, we can concentrate, and we can stay within that 4 out of 10 parameter. We can appreciate that blood flow is just part of the body's natural healing. And we can appreciate that different parts of the knee have slightly different symptoms, slightly different recovery rates. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to understand the muscles or ligaments. You just need to understand that the MCL will be sore as fuck. That doesn't mean don't train it. That doesn't mean rest it. That just means that is going to recover fucking very quickly. When you're doing them chair sit holds, when you're doing them body weight squats with your heels elevated, it is going to be sore, but it is going to recover really quickly. The main point I want to make in this video is that you can outperform rest. Actually, I'll say one level more powerful than that. Rest is a terrible idea. And even though it feels like the right thing to do, trust me, the first thing you should be doing if you have any of these issues is finding out where you're currently at and getting yourself into a training program based off your current symptom, and then progressing it as you would do your normal strength training, having the intent to progress every week, add weight, add reps, increase range of motion. Obviously the range of motion is part of this as well. If you want a system that takes you through this process, white belt to blue belt to purple belt to brown belt to black belt, I nearly mumbled up them words there. The first link in the description is a knee rehab and strength system. Take that away for free. Enjoy it. The second link in the description is for my one-on-one coaching, where I literally walk the path with you. That's it for me, gentlemen. Hopefully I will see you in the next one.